Hi guys! I wanted to do an unboxing of this, and I didn't really get to share it at all last year when I was working on it, and I haven't shared much about it since then, since I got it or since I knew it was coming out. But this is what I was doing last year for I Love Yarn Day. I was working on this, like embroiled, because I had a full-time job at the same time and was doing this in the evening. But this is, some of you may be familiar with this concept, is a crochet kit book. There's like Star Wars and Disney princesses, and there's a bunch out there if you like are interested in checking them out. They come with a book that has a number of patterns and the yarn and a needle and the pieces that you need to make two of the characters. And so like in the Rudolph one, you get to make Rudolph and I think the Abominable Snowman. But in this kit, you get to make Frosty and you get to make Karen. And so there's yarn and a needle and the little pieces that you need to be able to construct them 100%. So yeah, let's check this out. So the box is really nice. I was really stoked when I saw it first time. I didn't have a hand in the actual design of the box or the book. Like the graphic design was all done in-house at the publisher. This was like a contract job, so I worked with the publisher who worked with Warner Brothers to bring this to life. And so the book itself is my patterns, and then like the introductions to each pattern I wrote, and the introduction to the book and the acknowledgements and things like that. So the instructions are also from previous books, so like how to do this particular stitch and how to do that particular stitch. But yeah, so the box looks really cool. It's like the characters go all the way around. And they did this really great job of photographing the train for the front of the book and using it also on the cover to cut out. And it's got like a nice varnish on the characters, so they kind of really stand out from the back of the box. Let me open it up. And inside is the kit. So you get yarn. This is all the yarn that you would get to make Frosty and Karen. So it's every little bit, and I measured it all. I made I made two of each character, one for writing the pattern and one for destroying it, frogging it basically, so that I would be able to measure the yarn that you get in the kit. And I actually made like more trains and more Frosties as I was, writing the patterns, because certain things I tried I didn't like or they didn't work out. You get this neat little, the felt that you need, the safety eyes that you need. I'll just put it in my hand so you can see everything. They actually include a needle and thread. Though, now that I see this, you might want a thinner needle or smaller needle, but this will still work with thread. And then felt for the eyes, and this is Frosty's flower, the pink and the blue, and his nose is the red. And you get little pom-poms that go on Karen's dress, which is super cute. You can just glue those on after you're done. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Everything you need is provided. And you get a needle, so you can, they let me get this out. Yeah, so you get a needle. It's a 3.25 millimeter needle to make the stitches. And so this is the book. Book is about 6x9. Got Hocus Pocus and Frosty's hat, his magical hat, and it's a really nice print. The pages feel nice. It's I like the size of it. It's not this, bulky thing, so you can have it in your lap with your page marked for whichever one you're working on. It's got like the great photographs in it and instructions on your tools and materials. I also, I didn't take the photos for the instructions except for these last ones, but I did take all of these progress photos as I was making the characters, and they didn't use all the ones I sent them, but they used ones that lined up with the pattern and the page count they had to work with. You get little templates to use for tracing on, say, like Frosty's flower, and the eyes of some of the characters are like included in the last bit of the pattern, so you can make the same size that you need. And yeah, I can't even tell you, fun fact, how many times I photoshopped my thumb, because it was wintertime. It was getting to be wintertime. It was drying out, and I had like dry edge of my thumb, and so in all these pictures it just looked like, yeah, no, I don't like that. So yeah, I photoshopped all the pictures, and for two, trying to take photographs and not having a specifically perfect professional setup, my backgrounds ended up being slightly different colors, and all these different things that I wound up photoshopping the images. But when I see them in print, I was really pleased with how they turned out. They just look very consistent, and that's what I was kind of aiming for. The patterns that you get to make are, let's see, I'll go through them all. Well, of course you get to make Frosty, and they have them all nicely color-coded with different colors, so you get to make Karen, Hocus Pocus, which was one of my favorites, and you get to make Frosty's hat, which is a large version of Frosty's hat, so you get a small one that he wears and the large one that Hocus Pocus can fit in. And then this was probably my ultimate favorite character to create. It was Professor Hinkle. He was so fun with his little jacket with the tails and his mustache and little hair. I would say that it worked out really good for me making the patterns, that all the characters actually stand up on their own. So once you have them made, they're stuffed pretty well, and you can sort of like position their feet are sewn at the back in a V, so they have like a little natural pedestal, and so it's fun. You can like actually play with them. You get to make a squirrel, one of the forest animals that helps Frosty and Karen when they get stuck in the snow. And you get to make Santa Claus. He was another good one. I liked making these characters because they were actually three-dimensional, and just a really kind of one of my favorite ways to make amigurumi. I know you can make them in like solid shapes and stuff, but I really like pushing the envelope kind of. I would say like if you have a basic working knowledge of crochet, working in the round, that you can make any one of these. They might look rather complex, but they use the simple crochet stitches, single crochet, double crochet, triple crochet, and then mostly like working in the round. And you just sew them together, so they're made kind of like in multiple pieces for ease of sewing them together. For the twins, you make their neckline, their turtleneck, and their sleeve cuffs separately, along with the waistband. But this is part of their body, so like you make the whole body as a whole, and then you add on the extra bits like the sideburns and the hair and things like that. So most of the characters too, I tried to make it rather simple in that from the head down to the shoulders, they're kind of they're very similar. I won't say they're identical because they are different heights, so you might have one extra row count, or the face might be a little longer definitely for the twins, more than Karen. But that's just like adding a row and different count on how many stitches you're making, and all of that is explained in the pattern. So you really just have to follow the pattern. And yeah, so there's a poinsettia and a snowflake, and the snowflake utilizes liquid starch, which I hadn't used probably since I was a kid. But you like make the snowflake and then you flatten it out, you know, block it, and then you soak it in liquid starch and it stiffens. So you could make like a bunch and make them as ornaments or hang them in your window, give them as gifts, lots of different things you can do. And it's also a pretty straightforward pattern. I really tried not to make things outrageously difficult so that they would really be more inclusive to all different age ranges and skill levels. And there is, I won't say they're all super simple, because like this one was pretty complex in its construction, but the actual stitches themselves are just your basic stitches for crochet. I used a cardboard that I just cut from like a priority mailbox I had laying around to give the structure to the train and to the cab, to the boiler and the cab. And yeah, there's a little base that sits under there so that the wheels don't get crushed when you set it down. A little bit of crochet architecture involved. It was kind of challenging. This one was pretty challenging to make. Smokestack. There's a lot of little pieces. It's a rather long pattern. But you also get, excuse me, a template for making the cab, the circle cutouts for the ends of the boiler. I did really try to pay attention to the height of all the characters, and so if you, well, this is going to come flying out of here, but if you, it's not even there, it's here. Yeah, so if you like, they shrunk this down to fit it on there, but if you look at the different characters, they're all kind of like able to be in the same environment without one being super larger than the other, unrealistically larger than the other. Yeah. And then at the very end is about me and the acknowledgements. Of course, there were so many people that helped me get through the 3 months that I had to do this while I was working a full-time job, and this has always been like a dream of mine. I'm sure a lot of people have the dream to become an author and be published, and I've been published with poetry before, but you know, that was in like an anthology book with a lot of other poets. It wasn't just my book alone. And I really felt more like this is my book. I wrote the majority of what's in here. And it's, you know, one of the things that I love doing, which is working with yarn. And I've gone through lots of different phases, from crocheting a bunch to knitting a bunch to knitting and crocheting together and combining the two for like some of my yarn bombs do that. And now I've moved into punch needle and textiles, and just really love exploring all the different ways that I can use this medium to my diabolically tapping fingers. Like, I get to make it do what I want it to do and really kind of control it. Maybe that's, you know, well, we won't get into that, but yeah, so this is available now. It should be on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, at Target.com, and it would be a really fun gift. I think it would be really great to work with like a parent and a child crocheting together, making the characters together, making like a little scene for, you know, your Christmas decorations. In the beginning, I was like suggested maybe starting a tradition of making a Frosty for gifts every year, like give a Frosty to someone every year as a gift. But yeah, so that's my book, and I probably won't be posting a whole lot about it because, you know, I have moved into really focusing on the textiles, and but I would like to maybe at some point do a video where I'm making one of the characters with the yarn that came in the kit, so that whoever is making it can follow along with me with the different techniques and how the yarn that they gave you works out versus the yarn that I sourced to make the samples for them. And yeah, so this is what I was doing last year for I Love Yarn Day. And this year for I Love Yarn Day, I'm going to be in Dallas, Texas with the Craft Yarn Council and Sweet Tooth Hotel doing an I Love Yarn Day event in Victoria Park. We're going to have like live yarn bombing, and there's going to be a fashion show and just like a ton of fun things to do all day long. If you're in Texas or in the area and can make it out, that would be awesome. I would love to meet people that I'm friends with on Instagram. Really, I've been trying to connect more with people and stepping out of my comfort zone kind of thing, so to let people know who I am and learn about me. So yeah, if you're around, if you're not around, you can check out my stories, and I have like some examples that the Craft Yarn Council suggests, you can do as small or big things to participate in I Love Yarn Day wherever you are. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with me for this, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, bye.